boarded the plane, touchdown in the land of the Delta Blues, in the middle of the pouring rain. W.C. Handy, won't you look down over me? I got a first class ticket, but I'm as blue as a girl can be. And I'm walking in Memphis, walking with my feet 10 feet off of me. Walking in Memphis, do you really feel the way I feel? Saw the ghost of Elvis down on Union Avenue. He walked right through the gates and then he walked right through. Security didn't see him, they just hover around the tube. There's a pretty little thing waiting for the king, walking in Memphis, walking with my feet 10 feet off of me. Walking in Memphis, do you really feel the way I feel? Good evening, welcome to 50 and 50, loving the time of Corona. We'll be starting shortly. I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main, searching in the sun for another. Oh, I can hear you in the wire. I can hear you in the wine. And the Wichita lineman can be seen on the line. Oh. You know I need a small vacation, but it don't look like rain. And if it snows that stretch down south, we'll never stand the strain. And I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time. And the Wichita lineman can be seen on the line. Slow down, you move too fast. You gotta make the morning last. Just skipping down the cobblestones, looking for what I feel groovy. Hey, lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers blowing. Ain't you got some songs for me? Do 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 do, feeling groovy. 7:45 online to greet the teacher, Miss Kathleen. First came Kevin, then came Lucy, third in line was me. Well, all of us were ordinary compared to Cynthia Rose. She always stood back in the line with a smile beneath her nose. Her favorite novel was 20, and every single day, if you ask her what she'd have for breakfast, this is what she'd say: starfish and coffee, and maple syrup and jam, butterscotch clouds and tangerine, side order of man. If you set your mind free, baby, then maybe you'd understand. Starfish and coffee, maple syrup and jam. Oh, starfish and coffee, maple syrup and jam. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 50 and 50, the Corona version. And now I'd like to introduce you to Miss Indira Edwaru, Executive Artistic Director at the Billie Holiday Theater.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to join you from Brooklyn, New York. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of 50 and 50, Love in the Time of Corona. First of all, I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and well. Like theaters across the world, the Billie Holiday Theater remains closed, yet our hearts and minds remain open, figuring out ways to connect with you in unique, new, and meaningful ways. While we all continue to deal with this unexpected landscape that is COVID-19, communities of color continue to navigate systems of injustice that have not been eradicated. They have merely evolved. COVID-19 has laid bare deep-seated health, social, and economic inequities, while it has also illuminated the vulnerabilities of communities of color across the globe. This pandemic is a stark reminder that not just our stories, but our very survival is endangered. Take the story of Raina Zoe Mungan, a 30-year-old social worker teaching social studies in East New York. She was twice denied testing for COVID-19. Her words, "I can't breathe," were dismissed as a panic attack, a foreshadowing of George Floyd's final words on May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis, just 3 days ago. Spoken across hundreds of miles, but with the same devastating outcome. I want to take a moment to just pause in silence of all of those that we've lost during this pandemic, and unfortunately, those that we continue to lose in this pandemic of inequity. I want to thank the hundreds of writers who shared their stories with us and the 50 writers whose stories we are reading tonight, some heartwarming, some humorous, and some heartbreaking. I want to thank tonight's artists who are coming to you from their homes from across the country to read these profound stories. And of course, all of our deepest gratitude to the medical workers, first responders, and essential workers on the front lines of this pandemic, going out so that we can stay within the safety of our homes. Tonight's live reading is not just entertainment. It is about the power of community and the power of stories. Our stories are our gift to America, a North Star that points us to a love for justice, for humanity, and for freedom. Our narratives are the fundamental love stories to this planet, with the audacity to hope for a more just world. Ladies and gentlemen, the Billie Holiday Theater presents 50 and 50, Love in the Time of Corona.
We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes.
This debt we pay to human guile, with torn and bleeding hearts we smile.
And mouthed with myriad subtleties.
Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs?
Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask.
We sing, but all the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile.
But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. Paul Laurence Dunbar, 1895.
Are we really happy in this lonely game we play? Looking for words to say.
I unmuted it.
But not finding understanding anywhere. Lost in a masquerade.
There will be no graduation, no senior prom, no ceremonies. This hurts, I know. You worked so hard, persevered, and overcame. You accomplished so much despite circumstances that would have caused many to quit. I mean, you deserve to be recognized. But there will be no senior prom, no graduation. You are my girl, and I looked forward to having my breath taken away as you descended the stairs in your prom dress. I looked forward to watching you walk across the stage to get your diploma, like your brothers and sisters, screaming for you like I screamed for them, embarrassing you joyfully. There will be no embarrassment, no opportunity to hug your classmates, wish them well, and say goodbye. It hurts, I know. I know the why that echoes from the chambers of a wounded heart, seeking answers that can't be found. I know the anger. I know the pain. I also know that love can and will conquer everything. And though there will be no graduation, no senior prom, no ceremonies, there will be celebration, because I celebrate you every day, in every way, every day, in every way.
Unprecedented time. I made second calls to seniors in my organization friendly visiting program. As I called them, I heard cries of despair, loneliness, and concern, but I also heard so many uplifting, inspiring stories of previous survivors through World War II and the Korean War, Jim Crow laws, lynchings and hangings, the fight for civil rights, and the Holocaust. Yes, personal stories of isolation, hiding, quarantine, racism, and hate, but also stories of faith, trust in God, fight, family, and strength. I was inspired and realized that when this ends, and it will, we too will have a story to tell. We will realize what is important. We will love and respect our seniors because of what they have gone through. We will become grateful for things we take for granted. We will thank God for life and fulfill our purpose. As with everything in life, we must use it for better in our lives, because all things are working together for our good. Keep faith, stay strong, trust God, and draw him closer. Much love.
Although my husband and I are quarantined from family and friends as mandated, we are exclusively together, unable to physically be with those that we love and care about. We have 5 grown children and 8 grandchildren, also siblings that we are socially distanced from. This is of great concern, as we are a loving and close family and value our time together. Additionally, 2 of our children have medical conditions, and although we are not primarily responsible for their care, our concern is heightened. Having experienced a stroke and my husband a heart attack, both several years ago, we are in an age group and condition that is most targeted for this virus that seems to run rampant throughout our world, but most especially in the United States. This is alarming. We lean on our faith and practice kindness, pray, assist one another when needed, and work on being the helpmate that we chose to be. As Christians, we allow ourselves to read it, to reflect, to appreciate, and to look forward to the day when we can be reunited, and we trust that it will.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and deliver us from evil, and deliver us from evil.
5 days a week, every week since the shutdown of social distancing, my husband and I wake up at 5:45 a.m. The sounding alarm is Stevie Wonder's Ass, and he sings Good Morning from the movie Singing in the Rain. Good morning, da 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 da. Good morning to you. I get up most times and make us coffee and maybe breakfast. Then I fall right on back in bed and almost fall asleep just as fast. My husband kisses me and is on his way out the door. He was deemed an essential worker. He is wearing a face mask and rubber gloves. Every day I think, what if he comes home with corona today? He is not a doctor, nurse, bus driver, or work in a grocery store. He is security at a hotel housing 1,000 doctors who flew in from all over the country to New York to take care of the sick. He is usually home by 4 p.m. and we both stick our heads out the window and clap for all the essential workers every day at 7 p.m. I told him, they are clapping for you too. All essential workers who must be brave enough to brave the air and go to work and interact with people every day.
Not having a love in the time of corona is having a constant deep aching in your chest. You know without calling the teledoctor that it's not the respiratory kind. This feeling is the loss of love. Not the ghost of any used-to-be's or maybes, just a profound, unshakable sense of loneliness. When you're an independent as fuck woman, this sharp realization that you need someone, a partner, a man, knocks you down. You're used to doing everything for yourself, being everything for yourself. It's always been enough, even when it's just enough. Now suddenly alone in your apartment and cut off from all physicality, you are in need. You get your period and you mention it to your girlfriend in that way of casual commiseration. Fuck, I got my period. She congratulates you. Yay, you're not pregnant this month. You realize as you craft a sarcastic reply about immaculate conception having not been within 6 feet of anyone since your last period, that you've in fact not been near a single soul, let alone a hookup, for 5 weeks. On your next Zoom meeting, you turn the camera off so that no one can tell that you've been crying.
We have been friends for more than 25 years. As we grew into women, our weekly talks waned. Last week, we had a chance to catch up. It had been almost 6 months since we spoke voice to voice. Text and Facebook messages had become our regular mode of communication. It was easy, it was quick. We could drop a few, "Hey sister, you okay?" and "What's poppin', chica?" notes, then get back to business, husbands, hungry children, and demanding clients. I told her I was struggling emotionally and feeling empty. This crisis has me second guessing so many things in my life, my purpose, and my very foundation. She told me that she was going through the same thing and that she and her husband had been fighting constantly. Really? We just had an argument earlier today, I replied. We laughed so hard and we both cried. We realized the tears, she said. Remember to keep your peace. We cannot let anything interfere with our inner smile. I cried even harder. Then she said, "Now go on and smile." And I did. My heart filled.
On March 15th, my husband told me that public schools will be closed for a whole month. I immediately sent him shopping for my survival kit, a lifetime supply of chicken nuggets, Gordon fish sticks, and a huge bottle of Patron. Yet, 4 weeks later, the bottle was still full, along with our fridge and our hearts. Instead of filling our days to the point of exhaustion, we talked, laughed, and ate together. Birthdays were celebrated with simple cakes and stories of appreciation. I helped with homework without yelling. The kids played without needing a referee. We were freed from the obsession of doing more and having more. Life with Rona has been filled with lessons. We're learning that within loss, there is room for gratitude. We've learned that the beauty of life can be taken in for free. We learned that what we already possessed was greater than what we once pursued. Lockdown love took on a new meaning for us. Surviving Corona hasn't been the hard part. The hard part will be to move forward as better people, armed with what we've learned, and remembering that 3 meals per day, not 5, is the goal.
On March 19th, my fever went to 102 and my appetite left me. I was scared. So I anxiously called the ambulance and they took me downtown to the downstate hospital. 5 hours later, I saw the doctor. I was tested for the coronavirus because I am 61 years old. I was sent home to take Tylenol and Benadryl. I was told to isolate myself and don't go outside. When I returned home, I got worse before I got better. I couldn't eat for 2 weeks. I had to pray to go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, take a shower, open the door, things we just take for granted. March 26th, I got the call, test positive. This seemed like something out of the Twilight Zone. I lost 10 pounds. My children sent money to my friend to bring me some essentials and food, and my door neighbors and church members alike. I thanked them for taking the chance to help me. They left the bags at my door. I prayed to walk to the door and receive love from my people. People gave me so much to overcome this horrific virus that killed many. My life was spared. And for that, I am truly grateful.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Tina said, "I miss you, Miss Jones." And it made my heart melt. "I miss you too, Tina," I said through the phone. Students say this all the time, but this "I miss you" sounded different. This "I miss you" hit me different than the "I miss you" when I run into a student at the supermarket during summer vacation. This "I miss you" seemed to have no resolve in sight. After that conference call, I reflected on these words, "I miss you," and how her cute little voice sounded as though she couldn't wait to return to school. This "I miss you" made me see past the challenges of remote teaching. This "I miss you" confirmed my purpose in staying home. Staying home meant I'm doing all I can to see you soon, Tina. Purpose guides me through this pandemic. Serving others guides me through what seems like chaos. My life's mission guides me through the noise and is silenced by love.
Love in the time of Corona looks like extra hugs and kisses for the boys at night. An extra chapter before bed to balance out the aggressions hurled at them during the day. It sounds like I didn't mean to lose my temper, but being a mother, a teacher, and an employee all at once is much to bear in this time of despair. Love in the time of Corona looks like extra phone calls to Poppy because he's 2 hours away from me. It smells like a delivery of yellow daisies and chocolate chip cookies for mommy to be enjoyed when her corona-like symptoms subside. Love during Corona feels more intentional, hand-holding more significant, air, a commodity when others are drowning in their own bodies due to lack of it. Love in the time of Corona tastes nostalgic and sounds a lot like "I'm thinking of you. I'm sorry for your loss. I pray the results come back negative. I hope it's just a simple cold. And I love you so much."
When I got the call that you were gone, I struggled to understand. You were in the hospital for just a few days. You can't be gone. You're strong. You're too strong for death. I've never even seen you sick. That's why I knew that you wouldn't be in the hospital for long. That's where sick people go. You weren't that sick, were you? You can't be gone. You were one of my Christian mothers. You guided me through many of the rough periods in my life. You pushed me to grow in my faith. Without me realizing that, you pushed me to use the gifts that God has given me to help my community. Oh yeah, you had me on speed dial. If any of my God-given gifts could be used, you called. You loved me. You helped me to become a better person. I will always love and cherish you. I always told you that I love you, but I don't ever remember saying thank you. So I'm saying it now. Thank you. Thank you for being my mentor, my friend, one of my mothers. Thank you for seeing my potential. Thank you for loving me.
As Shannon laid there, she knew something felt different. She thought, should I have listened to Aunt Barbara and got tested? Then she felt it, a feeling she's never experienced, yet somehow knew exactly what it was. Not yet, she spoke softly. I've got you, were the words whispered to her as she closed her eyes and took her last breath. No matter how far away from the truth, that was the ending I came up with for my cousin's story. I can't be there. I can't comfort anyone in my family right now because I can't get to them. So this ending, it brings me closure. It involves Shannon receiving the greatest act of love. She received a welcome from the God she knew into a place she wasn't ready to go. It's the same love I felt when I put together the ending for the story of my cousin's life. 3 words are responsible for me accepting an untimely death. 3 words bring me peace and comfort. I've got you, is what I hear as I lay in bed. Wheezing, praying, these words aren't part of the ending from my life story just yet.
Trouble had come to kill love. It came to pass. Callie's mama, Belle, was one of the first taken by the plague. Time stopped. Callie's daddy, Neferkara, lifted Belle in his arms, gently kissed her open mouth, and sucked her in in her last breath. At midnight, he breathed that breath back into her. Love never dies. Remember, he told Callie, darkness is a lie. So walk in the light. Next day, what? It was Belle singing. Everybody said that last kiss, the breath he held and gave back to her, did the final magic. Neferkara prayed she would not leave them, but become a bird in the morning, singing evermore. And true, she felt that murdered body and flew away. She was a love song. The bird Belle watched over Callie came every night to the willow tree where Neferkara would be waiting. They comforted her through the night. He died last year, some say from a broken heart. Folks said after midnight, you can still hear Belle's song and sometimes see two birds in the willow tree. Love lives even when it's darkest. Trouble comes to pass every day. Callie walks in that light.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light.
My husband and I celebrate our 30th anniversary this summer of the coronavirus. The child whose homework routine caused so much stress in marriage lives in another city. We're driving less, so we're fighting less. We're both home. That's not that unusual. We've been semi-retired and working in separate rooms for 3 years. He's an analyst, I'm a writer. But there's one thing we do each day. We make the bed together. Making a bed takes about 2 minutes of the day. For those 2 minutes each day, we are in a 50-50 equal relationship in a world that is full of inequality. It may be the only time of the day we experience total equality. By making our bed together, we are laying out our combined destiny, both metaphorically and literally. We are putting into action our vows of intention to make a life together while caring for one another. We are aligned as a couple and as individuals. We are throwing our lots together and making our future. At the end of the day, stressful or quiet, we come to a lovingly made bed and lie in it together.
I sat in myself for days that turned to weeks that became years of the same. I felt undone. I was waiting, anticipating something new. Busy, preoccupied my time. I could pretend. Then, all of a sudden, the world stopped. She felt threatened. By this pandemic? No. God's forced hands of stillness? Yes. She had to face her. No more excuses. Everything was slow now. Time enough to breathe. In, out. What was she about? Can't shop this away, work this away, and him, he can't come over. He was always a risk. She might catch something more than just feelings she gave away to be compromised. For her to be healthy, he has to stay away. So I prayed. I had time now. Like I promised myself I'd always do before the early sun rises, meditate, eat a good breakfast, take long baths, write and revisit poetry on pages she wrote long ago. Light up candles, incense, and sage. Finally, let her rage out and release to the winds of some good music. She could dance and be free to question herself. What do you really want to be? Do. Truth. I want to be love and love on you. The divine has set this moment up for just you and I. It's quiet now. With all this in the world going on, I feel myself. A new loved soul, quarantined, healthy, and reborn.
OMG, will I really be a good mother? We're in the middle of a pandemic. Is now the right time to bring in a child? What if the world is ending? OBGYN. It's indeed a miracle at your age. We still don't have enough data on this virus and pregnancy, so please be careful. Reality, if you don't have surgery, you will die. You will bleed to death. Operation. Unfortunately, there's no way to save the baby. The baby will never be able to grow in your tube. Now close your eyes and count to 20. You won't feel a thing. Numb. The pain inside is unbearable. Is it bad timing? Maybe you're being protected from coming into the world during these times. I was forced to put my mask on first. Act of love. A rabbi once said, every soul that is brought into this world comes back for a specific reason. There are souls that only need to come into a body long enough to beat its heart or simply create a pregnancy. That soul chose me as the conduit to aid its vital and final mission as an act of love. Until we meet again.
For 20 years, I have lived with his smell, the clean smell of his soap and 3 sprays of polo. He wakes up each morning at 3:40 to shower. The faint pelting from the shower deepens my sleep. He moves quietly to not disturb me, but I know he's moving. He kisses me gently and slips downstairs. Every morning, he cooks breakfast and I can faintly smell coffee brewing. 5 hours later, I rise and immediately touch his side of the bed. I know he's already gone, but I still reach for him. Is he safe? Will he return to me, to us? I move through my day, clinging to the routine I've set for myself and our children, but I'm still worried. So many people are dying and he's essential. Don't they realize he's essential to me? What will I do if he doesn't come back to me? I can't let the fear show to the kids, but I'm terrified. The numbers are rising every day. When will he come back? I hear the beeping of the door. I can't kiss him or hug him yet because he has to decontaminate first. But my heartbeat returns to normal again.
Ain't no barriers of love during Corona, because we find ways to get around it. Just me and my sweet Fiona. Every day is challenging for everybody, but this free time we ain't never had, we don't take for granted. Instead, we find ways to make our love more secure, watering our seeds of love that were planted the day when we got married, enjoying every hour to the fullest as if it were our last, because no one knows how the story will unfold or when the curve will flatten. Like 2 birds of a feather, we flock together, cooking, cleaning, creating an online dance class, finding new and exciting ways to love longer. No matter, we take a leap of faith because there is always light at the end of the tunnel that keep our love shining brighter in our heart. We know this too shall pass. So in the meantime, we journey on. She my ride or die. Hi, me and my girl, sweet Fiona.
No, lipstick. According to my mother, lipstick as an accoutrement was non-negotiable. No matter how early in the morning at the supermarket, 6 o'clock a.m., no earrings either, an abomination. Earrings don't work with rubber bands trying to hold this mask to my face. Gotta get her early because I need toilet paper. Up one aisle, down another. Wait a minute, Lord, did you send me a black angel? How can a man look so good? A mask covering his face from his neck to the nose? His eyes are pure light. I think I detect a smile under that mask. Do you believe in love at first sight? Black shirt and pants. What is my lipstick? Black on black in black. I should have worn my wig. The closer I get to, the better he looks. But I need toilet paper. He steps back, nods his head and gestures toward the shelf where the 1 package of 12 rolls of paper gold rest. I look at him, then the gold. Look at him, and then my eyes say, thanks. His eyes say, you are more than welcome. So yes, I believe in love at first sight. Oh, thank you, Lord, for both.
the closer I get to you, the more you make me see. By giving you more and more, your love has captured.
Mr. Minx, my cream-coated calico Persian cat, hunkers down in front of the closed bedroom door, meowing for attention from my wife. She's been quarantined inside the bedroom for the last 12 days. Our bedroom, the oasis of intimacy and pre-dawn pillow talk, is now a makeshift isolation unit stocked with a humidifier, an assortment of herbal teas, bottles of vitamins and supplements, a carafe filled with hot water, and an array of seasonings she keeps on hand for the meals that I prepare. She's the cook. I'm not. At least I wasn't up until 2 weeks ago when she received a call informing her that she tested positive for COVID-19. I immediately became the caregiver. Fortunately, her symptoms are mild and manageable, nothing to raise any alarm. I guess I should mention that today's our anniversary. I spent the morning grocery shopping, something that she generally does. I also picked up a card, wine, and sushi from her favorite spot. Normally, we'd be cuddling in a king-size hotel bed on a romantic getaway. This year, we exchange everything through the crack of the door without touching. But I have no complaints. She's here, and so am I.
Hey, I was hoping you'd come see me tonight. This is the only way I can see you now. No goodbye, no homegoing, just the emptiness of we did all we could. When you went in, you couldn't breathe. Now I can't. I'm scared. I mean, you were safety when I didn't even know what the word meant. Now nothing feels safe except when you visit me. Then I feel everything. I feel you, your essence, when I breathe, when I smile. I even feel you when I cry. You left me with so much to learn. How to love me like you loved me. How to love others. Love was even in the sound of your voice, but now I can't hear you. Actually, can you say something? Anything. I just need to hear your voice one more time, the way it seeped through the gap in your teeth and wrapped around me like the hugs you gave. Can I just hear you say that you love me? Because my love for you has been leaking from my eyes and arresting my heart since you left. And N95 or not, no mask can hide this hurt.
Looking through the glass became a pastime. It was never meant to become what it is today, necessary. It's the prism where sunlight prances off the boxwoods, changing the colors from sage to seawood to pine. Hummingbirds dance with magenta petunias peeking through rose-colored shoots, mirroring the ones in the crystal vase sitting on the table. Leslie stands behind the other window, staring. She fans her left hand against the window, brushing the room 152 nameplate. Tink, her wedding ring sounds against the glass. Her right hand scrunches the scrubs, draping her right thigh. She sighs, lifting her hand slightly away from the glass. Straightening her body and raising her chin, she pulls the surgical mask over her mouth and nose. While lowering her face shield, she winks at her husband lying in bed, his ventilator subtle and sucks and beeps, invading the stillness. She pivots, turns back, bringing her left hand to her lips. Dr. Leslie Stillworth, CCU. Dr. Leslie Stillworth, CCU. Leslie quickly heads towards the staircase, running upstairs, arriving at her patient's door. Code blue, room 152. Code blue, room 152. Standing at the foot of the bed, fingering her wedding rings. uncontrollable tears stream down her face.
Langston struggles to catch his own breath, retelling Karine his dream. Karine, you were calling for help and I couldn't save you. And Karine interrupts. Then, Karine, maybe you just never recovered from the hurricane. Get some sleep. There was a silence. Langston looks at Karine. God sent you. You were my dream, Karine. Karine laughs. You don't believe, Langston says. Karine and I separated soon after. Karine was amongst the first to be hospitalized during the pandemic. Karine lays in her hospital bed. She never felt so alone. Karine began to think herself, is this the time? Is this it for me? Her life with Langston, his faith, and the children flashed in her mind. She was a young woman and thought she had much more life in her. Strange-looking nurse with no mask entered the room, and just as Karine was falling asleep, the nurse appeared lost, fumbling around the room, but she has the most inviting eyes. First day on the job, Karine said. Yeah, just started last week in the middle of the pandemic. Silence. Then, Langston loves you. The nurse. A calm passes over the room. Rasa disappears. Karine can breathe.
As I headed out this morning for some needed supplies, I put on a green army cap, shades, and a mask for the first time, a scary sight. Despite the weather report, it was a sunny day, no rain in sight. So I took the long way around through Fort Greene Park. On the way, I passed an elementary school with crossing guards positioned on all around the corners. And I asked why. She responded she didn't know since school was closed. I said, it's good to see you, and it can't hurt. The guards were well covered and can keep their distance, and it adds a nice additional presence in the community. The streets and the park were sparsely filled with everybody being careful to maintain a safe distance, respectful of each other, a feeling of calm quietness in the air. I headed home. I see a tall, elderly man with a mask and a shopping cart walking towards me. I stepped aside to give him plenty of room, and as he passed, he said, "Morning, baby doll. Stay safe." Just like a brother. It warmed my heart, and the song whirling in my head for the rest of the day.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just to the love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. We don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hills to climb. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little love. If the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone.
We have shared a common sickness for the last 5.5 years. Love sick, family sick, and emotional dis-ease relieved once the quarantine of my 7-year incarceration was lifted. In March, a new quarantine was imposed. Orders were to stay home, but what is home if it's not with you and the children? I have only seen you all once since my release in February. Since then, I've been tethered to the halfway house. Now Americans are tethered to their whole home. Days into the order, I secured a job at a fast food chain. You pick me up at the end of my shifts. We sit in the parking lot for as long as we can together. It feels like those visits in county jail, the uncertainty of my court appearances and the powerlessness I felt not being able to do anything about it. But we do what we can. We take risks, all in the name of love. This scenario is familiar, deja vu, a young Black family fighting strange forces to be together. Slavery, Jim Crow, and America's war on drugs and past lives, now COVID-19. But we keep fighting. We keep loving.
I felt so defeated by 4 simple words. I'm sorry, no visitors. I was reminded of the pain I felt as a child upon losing my granddad. My mama told me to wipe my tears because Papa was in a better place. Never wanted to experience that kind of pain again. Yet here it was in the form of social distancing guidelines at the hospital. I needed to see Mr. J. He was family. He and Papa worked together for 42 years. They were best friends. Mr. J and his wife looked out for me like Papa used to. Growing up, whenever I had a problem, he'd listen and read me scriptures. I was teased in school about my dark complexion. He showed me pictures of many beautiful, successful women with mocha-colored skin like mine. For years, you couldn't tell me I wasn't Cicely Tyson. He was my surrogate granddad. A lawn chair outside of his first floor hospital window became my second home. I quoted him scripture, smiled a few times in acknowledgement. COVID-19 eventually claimed his life. But I made sure he left, made sure he was loved.
Every day since the start of the lockdown, the boy is 4 and the girl 1 going on 2 and troublesome. 5 days a week. At work, I worry about the colleagues who are afraid but mask their feelings with complaints about the inadequate system, about the tickling in my throat, about the ache in my knees that have returned now that I have stopped all non-essential movement. Oh, do I have it? Well, will I have to tell my patients and their parents? I never worry about my children because he is there with them, making sure they are fed, clothed, occupied, learning. The only time I worry about them is when I come home and they run to me before I have a chance to strip. Mommy, can I touch you? My boy says. My daughter cries, confused when I sidestep her outstretched hands. He whisks them away, and I run to the shower. He gives me peace of mind in this time of Corona.
I thought, I don't feel safe. I mean, my first non-essential sheltering in place person, wheels up. Good morning, I smile. I'm not feeling it. She's gray haired. Back in the day, she might have smelled of lavender and lace. Now, it's sour clothes that should have been washed sooner than later. She says, hi, baby. What would we do without you? I got here early, still had to wait. I feel the weight of her long wait into decline. For every item I scan, 1 or 2 I don't. Surprised by the amount, she sighs, I wish I'd gotten more sardines. Have you tried them? No, ma'am. Well, God bless you. You are essential. Essential. Be safe now. She ambles on. Essential. Like I'm expected to fix something I didn't break. I pray I don't get sick. I want to be home, hold my daughter. And when I get home, all I do is cry.
You made life's history. The joy inside my tears. You brought me what I didn't see. You brought the joy inside my tears. You brought the joy inside my tears.
He just had to have that haircut. I never pictured things being like this. I knew there'd come a day when death did us part, but I didn't expect it to happen in our 40s. I mean, what the hell? I always pictured us being by each other's side until one of us took their last breath. But when he took his, I couldn't even be there. It was too dangerous to go to the hospital, so I just got the call that he was gone. I wish I could have been there by his side. I wish I could have given him a proper funeral and burial. I'm quarantined, so I couldn't even see them put him in the ground. We had to rush things because the morgues and funeral homes are too full. I never thought I would see anything like this happen. We were married for 20 years. Our baby is graduating from high school this year and going off to college. We joked about all the fun, freaky things we could do as empty nesters, but now I'm gonna be this empty nest all alone. Why did he have to get that fucking haircut?
My incarcerated soulmate and I have had hundreds of visits and exchanged thousands of letters over the decades of his incarceration. In this age of corona, New York State has suspended weekly family prison visits. As a compensatory act, each prisoner is allowed 5 free stamps each week. I stared in wonderment when I received the first free stamp letter, just a metered postage amount. I was happy that he would save his personal stamp funds. My beloved and I know that all correspondence to prisoners, we know they're all opened and read, censored, except legal mail. Corresponding is our act of love. Extreme sheltering in has been our default for years behind the prison walls outside, together and apart. On some nights, we gaze at the moon together, apart, and we write and share the experience. Dear beloved, wasn't that a beautiful moon last night? Now, during the pandemic, he writes knowing the letters can be mailed without utilizing his precious supply of stamps. In a recent metered stamp letter, he wrote, I worry about you. More than ever, I worry about him in that toxic prison environment. We continue to love and correspond in the time, the age of corona.
My mother is in a nursing home in lockdown. I cannot enter, but through the window I can see her. We have a ritual, the daily song. My mother makes a small gestures as she sings. She waves her hands as if she's conducting. I sometimes suggest merrier tunes. Her Celtic folk songs are sorrowful. I like to stay upbeat. In first grade, I learned a song. She loved it and it has remembered it ever since. Horsey, horsey, on your way. We've been together many a day. Your tail goes swish, the wheels go round. Giddy up, we're homeward bound. We've been together for many a day, my mother and I. She is 95. This sealed window, this closed facility, this shutting down of daily life have brought us closer still. Through the window, I see not the repressive parent of my adolescence, but the enchanting person I knew when I came into the world, who rocked me in an old rocking chair, singing the songs we are singing now. This closed window has healed the rifts between us. This shutting down has opened up everything. And if indeed my mother is homeward bound, it's in this way I'd like to end the journey.
I think I found the one. I mean, I know this is a crazy time to fall in love, but I met him at the gym. You know, I don't ever date people from the gym. I keep it strictly professional, but he's different. When I saw him, I got all giddy, and you know me, I am usually calm, cool, and confident. When he laid eyes on me, I felt like a shy little schoolgirl. I ain't know what to say. We went on our first date right before things shut down, and we've been quarantined together ever since. He's the first man I ever met in my adult life who I could see being my husband. Before all I ever met were fuckboys. He got his shit together. He a little older, 40, but I'm 33, so not too old. He can retire in a few years and we can go anywhere. He doesn't have kids and he's down for it. He's just like me. It was crazy to date the male version of myself. So with the same passions as me. Love in the middle of all of this.
Being carried out on the stretcher wasn't how I planned to spend Monday. I worked at Dell Marketing for 16 years. Never once had I called out sick. If there was an award for strongest immune system, I would have been nominated. Hell, I would have won. My job was my life. Even on off days, I was mentally invested, brainstorming ways to make our company more visible, monitoring competitors, and devising revenue increase plans. Rarely did I make time for family or friends. My breathing became labored. My sense of smell diminished. I knew enough about COVID-19 to recognize these were symptoms. I was in. My heart raced, as did my thoughts. I thought of my parents who sacrificed much to raise me. I was blessed to have them. I thought about how proud I was of my son. I thought of friends who always checked on me, but whose calls I didn't often return. I remember the sign in the office read, "Live, love, laugh." Those words were now profound. And then it hit me. I wasn't fighting to get back to a job. I was fighting for a chance to love.
Grand quarantine plans. We'd get back together. You know, one would text and check in and phone, video. We'd get to know each other all over again, even more so because pandemic. I mean, you cut bullshits, fights, silences, roundabout ways of, I want to be with you. Instead, I've cut anguished waiting for a love that's real. It's fucking real. Us constantly questioning, this is real, real? Surely did wonders. But it's shaped funny. Like we're meant to come, go, come again. Stop pushing anything else. I woke up today and felt you. First thing I said was, babe, the sunrise. I'm so happy we're seeing it together. I'm waking up in your arms. Sometimes I haunt myself. I swear we slept side by side the night before. I'm decluttering, scrubbing grout, mopping. Agua Florida's all up in here. I mean, windows open the air out the place. Haven't been out in 8 weeks. We ain't spoken in 10. Cleaning out dead, stale spirits so life knows to find me here. Cooking with ingredients I forgot about. I mean, why do I have so much cocoa? Singing, dancing, dreaming differently. You good? I trust you good. Enough, man. Let this love whoosh. Go. Be. Breathe. Let me find life again.
Oh, the baby cried all night. Newborn baby Grace, when she finally fell asleep, slept in her mother's arms in the bank underneath me. 1974, I lost my job, couldn't pay my rent, and for a brief time, I found myself sleeping on the top bunk in a women's shelter. Me and Michelle, Grace's mom, got to know each other by fussing over Grace and loving it. Michelle had been raised to believe that she deserved to be knocked around, was a single mother, could barely read, and she adored Tiny Grace. Michelle, wonder how your life turned out. And now, 46 years later, thousands of women with their tiny babies are crammed into homeless shelters while they shelter in place from this virus. Thousands of mothers washing out used diapers in desperation when the supplies run out, desperate to cover up vapors floating in the stuffy air. I go online, choose a new shelter every other, and them boxes and boxes of diapers. Why not? I can afford it. Michelle, wherever you are, thanks for reminding me of what I can offer at this time.
5 patients died today. What we wrap in sheets, what is disposable now, is a battle lost for humanity. Finally, the day ends. A reprieve from war, back to normal, time to head home. There's a note on my front door in purple magic marker. Go round the back. My family has set up a tent, a green garden hose, soap, mouthwash, towels, yellow plastic flip-flops, a gray sweatshirt. A second note from my husband's hand. We need you to sleep in the basement. Max is wheezing. In the basement, at the top of the stairs, fresh cut flowers, my favorite pajamas on the sectional, a little pile of pillows and blankets, and a third note in pink crayon with heart stickers. Turn on the laptop. I open it. There is my husband. Hi, baby. Tears are in his smile. The girls push in. They want a screen time too. We're going to love you, Mommy, from upstairs. They sing song together. Okay, Mommy? The little one adds with a rattle and a wheeze. I sleep with the laptop on, listening to the sounds of them.
You are my sun, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
On and on it seems to go, but you don't know what you got till it's gone. Janet whispers as I wake, alone. It's 40-something in the morning. Damn you, Rona. When things got real, we knew without hesitation, without pause, you had to take care of Poppy. Make sure Corona stayed as far away as possible, stopping the ebb and flow of family through Poppy's doors. Amid the jumble of sadness, pride, tears, tissues, and kisses, we said, nos vemos pronto, mi amor. Bye felt too final. I spent hours retracing our simple days, the meals, the laughter, and sex. I mostly miss your soundtrack while watching TV, the chorus of ohs and ahs. I mean, it annoyed me, but I'll take it over silence. Your silence. Until I trace your face on the glass, on our daily catch-ups. Bobby always thanking me for you while threatening to send you back because he didn't get his way. I mean, secretly, I wish he would, fully knowing I couldn't let you leave. I've inhaled your scent off your pillow, robe. Sometimes put your robe over mine to feel you embracing me. On and on. And I know what I got, Janet. It's just gone for now.
We found out about our rainbow baby on April 2nd, 2020. On March 31st, I sat down with my husband and talked about waiting until we were more financially stable. He was having difficulty finding employment after being laid off in January, exacerbated by COVID-19. Waiting until we were done with global pandemic, waiting until the storms were gone. I unearthed my packed away birth control and swallowed my disappointment and resigned myself that our little miracle would be delayed, possibly indefinitely. 2 days later, the strip turned pink, because that's the thing about rainbows. Sometimes they appear when you least expect it, when the rain surrounds you, but in the distance, oh, there is sun.
Sometimes.
We'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Sometimes the words just don't get through. We're done. It's over. I'm breaking up with you. And the responses are always the same. The deniers, the hangers-on, the ones who say, I can change. Or plead, let's try again. But it's over. Humans, it's really over. I'm breaking up with you. Time to go. You didn't get the message for far too long, so this time I really mean it. This virus isn't an illness, it's my goodbye message. The air is cleaner now. The animals are finally returning to their rightful homes. And there are even a few of you who are changing too. Slowly letting down, letting go. Even giving up all that you considered precious. Most of you spent lives of accumulation, but a few really understood who you were really special. Like Michelangelo and the Sistine Chapel. Now that's something. And that rock group, Kansas, really nailed it. All we are is dust in the wind. Say goodbye, humans. I'll let you hang around a few million years, but those last few hundred, not good. Not good at all. Time to say goodbye.
She escaped today. The whole time she'd been social distance before it was a thing, locked within a box inside a box within. Been a year since the move, 2 since the split, with secured roots and reaffirmed foundation, an ended year, millennium decade into a new. This was the year, and yet Rona said it wasn't. She wasn't ready. I first buried her inside someone else, forsaking even myself, becoming not what birth had born for purpose journey souls, but becoming what lies down for other souls' journey. This year was mine, and yet it wasn't. I wasn't ready. Rona's hammer in panic and solitude destroyed the box inside the box, forcing the facing of pain, years of tears, and the waters released her, and she escaped, and she wrapped every layer of the reformed foundation. In Rona's isolation, she formed her arms around past hurts and regrets and squeezed the darkness into forgiveness and love. Love denied to her, for her, from her. She escaped today from the buried space into healing and love, and reintroduced herself to me and her. She is me. I am she. And now we're ready.
What will I miss if I'm fortunate to survive COVID-19? What of my time spent holed up in my home will I miss? Sitting around the table for 3 hours, Saturday brunches and nightly dinners with my family, Wednesday Instagram dance class with the real Debbie Allen, idle chat, chit chat, any time of day with my kids, sudden outbursts of laughter and silliness playing the Good Fairy, leaving groceries and treats at mom's apartment door, experiencing a new childhood pastimes with my kids, watching my son press daily like a boss despite the disappointment that surely comes with your last semester of high school being completely washed out, discovering my daughter's yeast growing in the most random places, and appreciating the delicious bread is in our future. 7 hours of nightly sleep, waking up alarmless with my husband and having nowhere to be. Don't get me wrong, when it's safe to move about freely in the world, I'll be out there with you, but likely with an occasional tinge of longing for that time when just simply living was enough.
A text notification interrupted her solitude. The moon is full tonight. She felt his presence for a fleeting moment. I look for it and think of you. She laid in bed remembering him in the before faces were hidden to save our lungs, before movers and shakers were confined to their bunkers, and before we said goodbye to so many violently taken from us. The moon found its place, settled behind a sea of clouds, but she couldn't find hers. She reached for her phone. I need to see you, the message said. Should she? She called. He answered. Come to me, she whispered. Waiting in silence, she pulled her curtain back and watched the glowing moon illuminate a city at rest. The bell rang and ignited her heart. She was almost running as her silk robe flailed behind her. She stopped to contemplate her decision. This was happening. She opened the door. He was beaming, brown and beautiful. She kissed him. He kissed her back. As they separated, he pulled a mask from his pocket. To protect you when I can't. She wrapped her arms around him and let her head fall to his chest. Thank you.
His eyes lit up as soon as he walked through the side door. I could see supper overpowered his nostrils. He smiled. Hi, babe. Hi, yourself. Tears fell as I surveyed my afternoon labor: meatloaf, macaroni and cheese, collard greens, cornbread, sweet tea, and banana pudding, his favorites. He stripped his clothes and ran to the shower. I could smell the blue antibacterial dial soap as I set the table. He had put on black jogging pants and a black wife beater. My Ben still looked good to me. He came into the kitchen, spinning me into a two-step dance as Luther Vandross played in the background. I giggled like a schoolgirl as we sat down to eat. I laughed that whole meal. We were still dancing and kissing even as we cleaned. We turned on the television and I heard Ben curse. That damn Trump, he's gonna kill us all. I took a quick shower and put on my red teddy and matching robe. I lay next to him in bed as he stared. We fell asleep smiling. The weight of the bed shifted. My pillow was wet. The phone rang. Mrs. Brown, Mr. Brown is gone.
That damn ticking noise, you know the sound. Tick, tock, tick, tock. It's only gotten louder since my last trip around the sun, my 30th one. So I gave in. No more bullshit. No more wasted time or wasted orgasms, I told him. Then he reeled me back in. And when the world stopped, he was nowhere to be found. I should have known better. I did know better. I came to find that loneliness different pandemic. And that hell of an echo during a pandemic. I needed company, so I looked around for it, swipes and likes, but then I found myself forced into quarantine with an old love, myself. I've forgotten how beautiful love looks on me, how it calms me, how it helps me to create. A love like life is short, like the world will stop. A love like that with someone else will happen right on time. Until then, this love I have with the girl in the mirror will do. And you know what? Oh, I smashed that damn biological clock.
The world turned into shadows without human touch or faces. I looked outside my window into a gray, colorless street, saw an elderly woman, shoeless and barely dressed, with just a mask on her face, a long sleeve shirt, and panties, walking fast. I immediately called 911 while grabbing flannel pajama bottoms and a big sheet. "Help her!" I cried to the dispatcher as I put my gear on, running down to her aid. I put the sheet over her, rubbing her back as she sobbed. She said she wanted to sit, stumbled back. I caught her, softening her landing. I put the pants on her, waited for the police and ambulance to come. She cried, "I want to die. I already lived my life." "No," I cried, "live." The ambulance and police finally came. They thanked me, saying I did a good job. I don't understand why anyone was thanking me for doing the right thing. I hope people remember their humanity and compassion instead of standing around with cell phones out, which several people were. I had never seen a woman before. All I saw was a human being in crisis. We're all in this battle together.
In the time of Corona, sleep. What's sleep in the time of Corona? I binge watch TV until my eyes feel like they're gonna bleed or fall into a black hole scrolling through Instagram. One night, my bell rang, and at first, I thought it was somebody locked out, but then when I continued, I thought maybe it was him. That he had come one last time to apologize and beg me to take him back, but then the bell stopped and there was no knock at the door. How stupid of me to think that he would travel during a pandemic. We haven't spoken in months. I know he's moved on. The next morning, I wake up from a nightmare. It was a nightmare because I dreamt of him and everything in me wants not to. Did he still love me? Did he really move on? So I opened my journal to write. And the action I decided to commit to me in the next week that would improve my life is to fall in love with myself. Me. Yup. Our messages and our photos, gone. Everything in my apartment that reminded me of him, gone. Since then, I've slept much better.
My niece and I FaceTime a couple of times a week. I wear a headset. That's pretty cool for a 100-year-old lady. At first, I thought I was dreaming. How could my niece be talking to me from a square flat box all lit up like that? Sometimes I think my niece is in the room with me. I can see her so clearly. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we just watch TV together. Sometimes we just sit and breathe together and try to make sense of the mess in the world. I love our quarantine time. It's that this Corvette Corona-19 quarantine has produced, families are learning to like each other and under the new rules of love. The gondolas in Venice, Italy, float in clear blue water now. For decades, the water was brown. I still play a mean game of bingo, watch Wheel of Fortune, and eat lots of oatmeal. Have faith. You'll wake up from this nightmare, and may you live and love as long as I have to remember what really matters in the end.
Day 30 of residing with the monster, stuck in space, stuck in time, drugs to make me feel better, drugs to make me feel COVID gonna kill me either way, inside here or out there. Every day cheating death, but wanting to die. Purple eye completely closed because there is no I inside. Features distorted, breathless lungs as you take the oxygen from me. This is to you, the monster in my space. Day 30 almost counted me amongst the dead, and I know they could hear my screams. raped and beat and raped. The sun and then to the moon, which showed me mercy by appearing each day. Coffee hot, bath just right, tissue in an upper pool position on the roll. Sounds real easy till you fuck it up. And I know they heard my screams. Baby, I am sorry. I'm sorry, baby, I am sorry. Because I am sorry. Sorries became I deserve, and those became the magic words for a while. Dirty kisses and faked orgasms cringing me so deep inside that I morph into another reality. Short-lived, won't ever be clean again. The right soap doesn't exist. My purple eye, my bleeding heart, my hips. They used to move in a melodic way, then made me do as I told. The softest caress always leads to an ugly fuck. And I know they heard my screams. Thin walls, conversations heard, marijuana smoke from the vents. They never helped me again. Anybody, somebody, nobody ever helped me again once I let him back in. Allies became adversaries. At some point I believed you, and I never stopped. Even when you said you'd kill me. Day 30, in here with the monster. He's asleep now. He may be asleep for a while.
It was the beginning of the end anyway. We all could feel it. We had already had the meeting several times, actually. First time, she just popped her head in. We were still on site back then. Concerned, but not enough to not joke about it. You know how Sankofa always thinks everything's a conspiracy. It's funny, but maybe true too. The second meeting came, still on site. But she popped her head in with her boss's head too. By the third meeting, we were in even deeper, yet somehow hopeful that all wasn't lost. Then that night, we had 2 meetings in one day, and one the very next morning. It became clear it was over before it started. This thing was not going away. We had 45 minutes to serve it up, then shut it down. The stage was dark. The law said, go home. But none of us, didn't matter to us. I could make peace with anything. If it meant getting back to you before it went on stage that night. You called me saying, they're shutting everything down. What are you going to do? I flew down the next day. We took my bags, masked, gloved, and shaded. An alien. We went home and we were naked. And somehow strangers. That night we'd lie awake until it turned into the next morning when you were longing for some familiar. No, not again. Not until we fix this. You didn't come home that night. I realized I had betrayed myself. So I acted. I got out. I drove back up. I cried every single day. I got still and prayed. In isolation, I saved lives, my own among them. With each passing day, pulling myself up inch by inch out of the hole that was my heart. This thing has got me sitting with myself. But it doesn't matter to me. I can make peace with anything as long as I have peace within myself.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, sweet blessed day, dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
A shouted catch-up visit through a closed window is an act of love.
Carefully Clorox wiping each yogurt container is an act of love.
Making masks from your late grandmother's unused quilted squares is an act of love.
Holding ourselves together is an act of love.
Convince my 80-year-old mother that a swish of vodka and a cigarette between therapy clients won't protect her from infection is an act of love.
Sharing cedar is an act of love.
Letting go of last year's sadness that the kids would never live at home again because they're here now for a terrible reason, but it's still miraculous and sanity saving is an act of love.
Counting blessings is an act of love.
But the blessings of those doing more than counting, who are risking, feeding, healing, protecting families not their own, are greater than any tribal act I list.
The Talmud says the act of saving one life is equal to saving the world.
They are doing this over and over, and every one of their acts is an enormous act of love for all of us.
Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying, I love you. I see babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll know so much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
And it's done. Live stream's over. It's good.
Yay.
Great job, guys. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, one down, 50 more to go, 49 more to go.
So guys, you've been christened.